They wanted to knock her out because they thought it would be easier, and Anissa said she didn't want to have to see herself in Peyton's eyes. The plan was to sit her down on the toilet, use the drain to get rid of her blood, lock the door, and then leave for Nicollet National Park, where they believed that Slenderman's mansion was located. The plan didn't work, and Peyton was still alive and fully conscious. Peyton was mad, but still stayed with them. As, keep in mind, these were two of her her best friend and her very close friend. Morgan said she was too scared, so Anissa hugged her and petted her like she was a cat to calm her down. Morgan was pacing until finally they led her into the woods. They told her they wanted to play hide and seek. Peyton said she didn't, but they told her the next game would be her choice. Anissa pulled Peyton deeper into the woods, and Morgan looked for them until finally she found them. They told Peyton to lie down and cover herself in sticks and leaves. She said no. And that is when the real intensity began. I am going to give a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm also going to share this real quick. This is going to get dark. This is where it gets very dark. Hey, Jay. So I don't know if you guys ever followed along this case while it was still there, but it is very graphic after this. Morgan handed Anissa a knife and said, "I thought we agreed you were going to do this." Sorry. Morgan handed Anissa a knife and said, "I thought we agreed that you were going to do this." Peyton didn't understand what was going on. Anissa and Morgan had offered different stories during the interrogation, so it's not 100% clear what exactly happened. Both of them claimed that the other started it. So this is kind of just from what we most likely believe happened. We're not 100% sure exactly, but they say that there are often three truths: one person's perspective, another person's perspective, and the actual truth. Like they say there, I think it's three stories. Three stories, one person's perspective, another person's perspective, and the truth. Morgan handed Anissa a knife and said, quote unquote, "Make sure she's down." However, it was actually Morgan who stabbed Peyton with a kitchen knife multiple times while Anissa watched. She said, quote unquote, "Don't be afraid, I'm just a little kitty cat." Morgan got on top of Peyton's legs, sitting on them. She whispered, quote unquote, "I'm so sorry," in her ear. Quote unquote, "I have wanted to hurt people before, but they're not nice to me, so they deserve it," Morgan said to a detective. She described stabbing someone as like air, just repeatedly, not really thinking about it while it was happening. Peyton was stabbed 5 times in the arms, 7 times in the legs, multiple times in the abdomen and chest, just missing a major artery near her heart. Her friends then covered her in a sheet to make it look like she had been sleeping. They abandoned the bleeding out girl, leaving her to die in the woods. Her last words to Morgan were, "I trusted you, I hate you, I can't see, I can't see, I can't see." Anissa moved her off the road, getting blood on her in the process. She told Peyton to lie down and be quiet because she'd lose blood slower. Anissa claimed she was going to get help, but had no intention to do so. In total, Peyton was stabbed 19 times. Keep in mind, when this happened, all 3 of the girls were only 12 years old. The 2 girls ran off on a quest to find Slenderman. They were trying to become proxies, or servants, to Slenderman. They believed that his mansion was somewhere in Nicollet National Park, as I've said before. However, Peyton's luck ended up turning around. A bicyclist named Now the 2 girls ran off on a quest to find Slenderman. Hey, Kill Switch, just in time. They were trying to become proxies or servants to Slenderman. They believed that his mansion was somewhere in Nicollet National Park, which I have mentioned earlier. However, Peyton's luck turned around. A bicyclist named Greg Steinberg was riding that bike that Saturday morning. He came across Peyton, who was lying on the ground bleeding ass. Oh my god, I hate this fucking... My speech patterns fucking suck. I'm so sorry. Let me try that again. However, Peyton's luck turned around. A bicyclist named Greg Steinberg was riding his bike that Saturday morning. He came across Peyton, who was lying on the ground bleeding out, and she asked, Can you help me? Please, I've been stabbed multiple times. He immediately called 911 and can even be heard in the phone call reassuring her by saying, "Honey, he's coming. They'll be here any minute." He offered her some water and an ambulance arrived. An officer arrived at her parents' place, and her mother's first thought was, "Something has happened to someone I love." They were both in shock when an officer informed them that their daughter had been stabbed. They immediately went to the hospital. Peyton was taken to a hospital. Right before surgery, her mom told her that she would be okay, despite all the stab wounds. Peyton was taken to an ICU where she stayed for weeks and had 25 scars. When asked who did it, Peyton's response was, "My best friend." If the stab wound in her chest had been just a width of a human hair deeper, she likely would not have made it. In an interview, Peyton said she shouldn't even be alive. She's very surprised she made it, along with just about everybody who witnessed her stab wounds. Anissa had told Morgan she had enough of it and wanted to go home, but Morgan said, "If you do, you'll spend your life in prison." Anissa blamed Morgan, who started to cry, which was very unlike her. Hey, Shadow Princess. Morgan said, quote unquote, "Slender, if you're listening, please help us." The police found the girls walking near the interstate. 6 hours after the stabbing, the girls were interrogated. Morgan claimed that Slenderman had wishes that she would kill Peyton. Quote unquote, "I was told if I didn't do something, my family would be in danger." Anissa explained in her interrogation, which is, like, parts of it are up on YouTube. If you ever look it up, Anissa, or Thank You for the Hearts, Save Shadow Princess, Anissa or Morgan, they will, their interrogations will come up. I did also look for, the videos to see if I could find their old comments, but it's likely their channel got taken down. Because there was a documentary from Crime Vault, which involved, oh, thank you, it's a teddy bear, which involved, like, different parts of their YouTube comments and stuff that have been made off of Anissa's iPad with her Google Plus account, and I was unable to find them, so it's likely they got deleted, or it's just, you know, those comments were from 6 years ago. It's likely they're just gone. Morgan asked what happened to Bella, Peyton's old nickname, and said, quote unquote, "the one who was stabbed." She asked, thank you, if she was dead. She asked if she was dead, and she was very surprised to find out that Peyton had been taken to the hospital. Anissa asked about her parents and if they were scared. Anissa began to cry while explaining what happened. She said that she was most nervous about seeing a dead person because the only time she had really seen a dead person was her uncle at his funeral. Anissa asked how far she'd walked because she wasn't very athletic. Anissa said she wanted to prove Slenderman was real, which she would be able to do by killing someone. They claimed that stabbing Peyton was necessary. Morgan did not seem remorseful, nor did she show any sadness at all. Their internet history also revealed that they had a list of items to bring for different creepypasta characters, such as pepper spray for Laughing Jack. One of the characters, quote-unquote Masky, Morgan had a crush on. She was often called Kitty by Anissa and had a drawing of her with cat ears and a scythe. And I remember when she had attacked Peyton, she said, "Don't be afraid, I'm just a little kitty." So my personal theory is they were trying to become creepypasta characters themselves. Like, they sincerely believed that all these characters were real, keep in mind. They really did not know the difference between fiction and reality. And I really think that she was trying to become a creepypasta character herself. Hey, Oliver, what's up? Now, they revealed they had been planning this since December. Slenderman proxies. Yep. For those of you who do not know what a proxy is a servant to Slenderman. A proxy is a servant. There are different stories. Yeah, it is. There are different stories about, like, different proxies people often write, because Slenderman was basically a fictional character that people amongst the internet kind of created. In the documentary, they even explain the psychology behind it is, you know, you can kind of create your own story with him, or, like, it varies. It really is a modern-day folklore, because folklore varies person, by culture, depending on who's telling it. You know, even something that is, like, maybe unknown outside of its home country as the Bunyip has a million other, which is from Australia, has a million other little stories that go along with it. So, it's a matter of, you know... Oh, excuse me. These girls, in my personal opinion, Baba Yadka, exactly, they were, you know, in their personal minds, I will get to more later, they really believed that Slenderman was going to take care of him. Because they were in adolescence, which is a big, you know, herding, grouping, socialization era where you really need friends, and they didn't have any other than, other than themselves and Peyton, and they really thought Slenderman was going to come and be their best friend, and everything was going to be butterflies and, dead rainbows. Exactly. So, hey, the big guy, what's up? They revealed they'd been planning this attack since December, a half a year before it happened. Morgan claimed she was hoping she wanted to give Bella one more morning. She claimed that she was hoping they could honestly put it off forever, attempting to manipulate the detective and pin everything on Anissa. Hey, Queen Bee. In Morgan's bedroom, they found mutilated Barbie dolls and fan art of Slenderman. They also found art of Morgan with the words, "Help me escape my own mind," and a knife. Anissa's phone was confiscated. This was the final message. Date, Wednesday, May 28th, 4:05 p.m. This is my final wish to those who care. Do not grieve my absence, but remember me for who I was. I love and cherish you all and wouldn't do you harm. Peyton spent time in recovery and received letters of support and well wishes all across America. She even got a Purple Heart in the mail from an anonymous veteran. When she was finally physically better, she would spend time in cat shelters playing with the kittens to help her mentally recover. Morgan was diagnosed with schizotypy, a mental difficulty to differentiate between real and fiction. Anissa was not diagnosed, Anissa was not diagnosed with psychopathy. Morgan, however, was diagnosed with schizophrenia, which they had discovered to have inherited from her father, who never told her. She also was diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder, or ODD for short. While being interviewed by a child psychologist, Morgan said one of her classmates was a Pegasus. She also said Snape was visiting her. She claimed she wasn't afraid of jail because she would use Vulcan mind control, which is a Star Trek reference, to make herself feel different. Her jail cell was covered, thank you for the hearts, in papers because she said they made it feel less empty. She said her friends who nobody else could see, who nobody else could see, aren't dangerous but can't disappear as they're important to her. However, when she was put in a, youth detention center, she did voluntarily take the medication for antipsychotic drugs to help her control her hallucinations. Both of the girls were charged with attempted first-degree murder and tried as adults that could have faced up to 65 years in prison. I'm talking about the Slenderman stabbings. That is why the title of the stream is Slenderman stabbings. On December 2017, Anissa was sentenced to 25 years in a mental facility after pleading guilty to second-degree attempted homicide. Morgan was sentenced to 40 years in a mental hospital after pleading guilty to first-degree premeditated attempted homicide. Peyton is still alive and has done one interview as of recently. She didn't speak upon it for a long time. Well, not a long time, for a few years, and I understand why, because that is horrifying. Keep in mind, she was 12 years old, and those were her closest friends who had tried to kill her. And that is the end of my notes, and that was the Slenderman stabbings. I still got like 27 minutes before my next